Okay, here's a question for you. What if you could get, that essential business understanding, the kind that really moves the needle, but without shelling out a fortune or, frankly, spending years on a traditional MBA?
Right.
Well, today we're diving deep into Josh Kaufman's The Personal MBA. It's a book that's genuinely changed how lots of people think about business self-education.
It really has.
Our mission here is simple. Pull out the most practical, the most no-nonsense ideas from this guide, give you a kind of shortcut to being really well-informed.
Yeah, and the usual route, the traditional MBA path, that often
Mhm.
feels like this huge mountain, right? Debt, time.
Totally.
But Kaufman's book, it doesn't just question that path. It offers a totally different blueprint. It argues, pretty convincingly, I think, that real-world success isn't really about the degree itself.
Mhm.
It's much more about picking up and, crucially, applying specific, effective skills.
Exactly. And the book makes this really bold claim, doesn't it? Almost audacious.
Yeah.
You don't need to go to business school. You just need to read this book.
Yeah.
Well, that's a strong statement.
It is a very strong statement.
But what makes his argument so compelling beyond just, saving the cash? What's the real advantage here? This personal MBA versus the old school way?
That's a great question, because it's not just about the money, though that's obviously a big part of it. It's more about efficiency and relevance.
Relevance.
Yeah. Think about it. Traditional programs can sometimes get bogged down in theories that feel, well, a bit outdated, or case studies from, like, a different era entirely.
All right.
Kaufman just forces you, in a good way, to focus on the timeless stuff.
Yeah.
The universal principles that work today. In real companies, whether they're tiny startups or huge corporations, it's really about building this practical toolkit,
Yeah.
for solving problems, creating value, not just ticking boxes for academic credentials.
Right. Okay. So if the formal MBA isn't the only path, what is the core of this alternative? Kaufman boils it all down, like, amazingly simply, to just 5 core parts of any business. Deceptively simple, yeah.
First up, value creation. And this isn't just making stuff. It's really understanding a deep need people have, something unmet, and then crafting something so good it almost sells itself.
Precisely. It's fundamentally about solving a real problem for actual people.
Then part 2, marketing. This is all about grabbing attention, drumming up demand, making sure the right people know you have a solution for them.
Getting noticed in a noisy world.
Third is sales. So
Yeah.
turning those interested folks, the prospects, into paying customers,
Yeah.
showing them the real value.
And often that just comes down to clear communication, doesn't it? Building that trust.
Absolutely. Then fourth, value delivery, which is, actually giving customers what you promised them, the whole operational side, doing it well.
Keeping your promises, super important.
And finally, number 5, finance. Basically, making sure you bring in more money than you spend. Sounds incredibly basic, I know, but it's the absolute lifeblood.
It really is. And what's so fascinating, I think, is how these 5 things, they seem simple on their own, right?
But when you understand them together, you see they form the entire ecosystem of any successful business. Doesn't matter it's a one-person shop or a giant multinational. It all runs on the interplay between those 5. Grasping that gives you, like, an instant framework. You see how the whole machine works.
That framework of the 5 parts feels incredibly solid, really foundational. But what else did Kaufman talk about that really shifted your thinking? Anything particularly game-changing?
For me, definitely his focus on mental models. These are like proven shortcuts for thinking clearly. Frameworks.
Okay, quick one.
Well, think of having a set of mental tools, maybe like first principles thinking or understanding compounding. They help you break down really complex problems, see solutions others might miss. They often uncover hidden opportunities.
Interesting. Mental tools. And what about systems thinking? That sounds pretty powerful, too.
Oh, it is. It really is.
Yeah.
Systems thinking is basically about building processes, not just chasing goals. So imagine setting up, say, a consistent way to get feedback from your customers, or maybe an automated sales process that keeps bringing in leads. It's about designing the actual machine that keeps delivering value over time, rather than just, hitting a single target and stopping. It creates sustainable progress.
Okay, so the book definitely pushes this idea of real-world application over theory, but I mean, surely there are some foundational theories or frameworks that even a self-learner needs before just diving in and doing. You can't just wing it entirely, can you?
Oh, absolutely. And Kaufman isn't saying ignore all theory. Not at all. He emphasizes relevant theory, like those mental models we just talked about, but
Yeah.
applied directly to practice.
Wow, okay.
It's more like just-in-time learning. You learn what you need when you need it for a specific task or problem, rather than just stockpiling knowledge just in case you might need it someday.
Yeah.
You really learn business by starting something, by testing ideas, building things, getting feedback. That's how these principles stick.
Makes sense. So who is this book really for then? Who gets the most out of it?
Well, honestly, pretty much anyone who wants to genuinely understand business without the huge investment of time and money in the traditional route. Aspiring entrepreneurs, definitely.
Yes.
Freelancers, creators, people building online audiences, influencers, even folks already in established careers looking for a kind of practical refresh. If you want a pragmatic, actionable roadmap to business literacy, this is probably it.
So wrapping up, the Personal MBA really lays out this clear, practical pathway to business mastery. It strongly suggests that, actual knowledge and usable skills matter way more than just the credential.
Exactly. Which leads to a final thought for you, the listener. Based on these principles we've talked about, what's one small practical step you could take, maybe even today? How could you apply a new business concept? Or maybe just improve an existing one in your own life or your own work? Could you maybe refine a sales pitch? Look into a new market? Streamline some process?
That's an excellent thought to leave everyone with. Definitely explore these ideas further. And that's all for this deep dive.